As we count down the weeks until the start of the 2023 WNBA season, I figured I would do a review of last season and what has led us up to the point where we are now. During the 2022-2023 season, I attended 6 out of the 18 regular season home games and 1 playoff game, which was Game 3 of the first round against the Chicago Sky. I was able to see great players like Sylvia Fowles, Candace Parker, Diana Taurasi, and more. But before we get into the regular season, I'm going to start at the off-season, right as we were eliminated from the 2021 playoffs. To give some context, the Liberty snuck into the 2021 playoffs as an 8th seed with a 12-20 record. It was their first time in the postseason since 2017. The coach at the time was second-year head coach Walt Hopkins. At this time, the playoff format was 2 single elimination rounds, followed by 2 best-of-5 rounds for the semifinals and the finals. We faced the Phoenix Mercury in the first round in a game that came down to the wire. We ended up losing by 1 point though, which was 83-82, and our postseason was over just as quickly as it began. Despite the disappointment of an early exit, there were some positives to take away from the season. Michaela Onyenwere, our 6th overall pick, won Rookie of the Year, which was a first for a member of the Liberty. She led all rookies in scoring and minutes per game. Her teammate, Dee Dee Richards, also joined her on the WNBA All-Rookie team. But the day after, it was reported that Michaela had surgery on her RCL in her right thumb. A month later, in November, Benijah Laney, our 2021 All-Star, had a left knee arthroscopy that would keep her out until the beginning of the season. Also in November, after 6 years of the single elimination playoff format we spoke about earlier, the WNBA changed it into a 3-5-5 format, meaning the first round would be best of 3, followed by the semis and finals being best of 5. On December 6th, the big news dropped that the Liberty fired their 2-year head coach, Walt Hopkins. In 54 games as a head coach, he went 14-40 with the 1 playoff appearance I mentioned earlier. Clearly, that was not good enough, and changes had to be made. Towards the end of the calendar year, rumors started to swirl that Sandy Brondello, then head coach of the Phoenix Mercury, was a coaching target as the Phoenix Mercury decided not to renew her contract, even though they had just made the finals a couple months earlier. But on January 6, 2022, the rumors were proven true as the Liberty signed her to be the 9th coach in the franchise's 26-year history. It was clear the team needed a coach with championship experience, and they got just the perfect candidate. It was important that the coaching decision was resolved as free agency was quickly approaching. In February, when the contract signing window opened, our first move was the signing of Stephanie Dolson to a 2-year deal. She had just won the 2021 championship with the Chicago Sky. We then re-signed Rebecca Allen to a 2-year deal. She was coming off of her best statistical season as a member of the team. With those signings, we released 2 of our 2020 drafted players, Jasmine Jones and Liana Odom. Fast forward to April 11th, the WNBA draft took place, in which we ended up having the 5th, the 18th, and the 29th picks. With the 5th pick, we selected Nyara Sabally, a 6'5" forward out of Oregon. We also acquired the 18th pick from Seattle for a future pick and selected Lorella Kubai, a 6'4" forward from Italy via Georgia Tech. With the 29th pick, we selected Sika Kone, a 6'3" center playing in Spain. She was averaging 12 points, 11 rebounds in 19 games. As you can see, the team opted for size during this draft. But when the 14 players that would be at training camp was released a few days later, it was reported that our 5th overall pick, Nyara Sabally, would miss the entire season after finding out she would need OCA transplantation surgery on the same knee in which she already had 2 ACL surgeries. Luckily, our 2019 draft pick from China, Han Shu, 6'10" center, would finally be making her debut for the team. With a majority of the team coming back and a new experienced head coach, things were looking promising, right? However, Towards the end of training camp, 2020 draft pick Kylie Shook, her contract would be suspended as she would be away from the team due to personal reasons. It was also reported that Rebecca Allen had a temporary suspension due to her overseas obligations. We ended up signing Kayla Charles, a guard/forward previously with the Connecticut Sun, on a hardship contract to fill that roster spot. On May 7th, the season began with a home opener against the Connecticut Sun, a game in which I attended. The atmosphere was great, and we overcame a number of Connecticut runs to win that game 79-76, snapping a 9-game losing streak against them. Already, things were looking up, right? But that's as good as May was for the Liberty. They went on to lose the rest of their 7 games in May, finishing the month with a 1-7 record. A few of those games were blowouts, which made it feel even worse. I attended one other game in May against the Dallas Wings, in which we fought all game, but we just couldn't get over the hump, and we ended up losing 81-71. It was a very frustrating time for the team. To add injury to insult, Jocelyn Willoughby partially tore her left quad tendon, and Benijah had surgery on her right knee, and both would be sidelined for a while. Rebecca Allen, thankfully, was able to return after her temporary suspension, and we had to use another hardship extension and sign Crystal Dangerfield, the 5'5", 2020 Rookie of the Year, who would become a very, very important part of the team that season. I unfortunately attended one of the games we lost on June 5th against the Minnesota Lynx, but we ended up blowing them out 2 days later. Sabrina Ionescu was playing excellent basketball, earning 1 Eastern Conference Player of the Week award and the Eastern Conference Player of the Month award for June. She averaged 19.5 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, while shooting over 95% from the line and achieving a triple-double. On top of those awards, she was selected as a starter for the All-Star game. Her teammate, Natasha Howard, was selected as a reserve. Also, towards the end of the month, we made a trade with the Atlanta Dream, acquiring Megan Walker and the draft rights to forward Raquel Carrera for A.D. Durr. We would end up waiving Megan Walker and re-signing Marine Johannes, the French guard, to a rest-of-season contract, a move that proved to be extremely important to the team's success and excitement. As the calendar turned to July, we made another move by waiving Lorella Kubai, our second pick in that year's draft, but re-signed Crystal Dangerfield to a rest-of-season contract. In regards to the mid-season Commissioner Cup rankings, we finished second in the East behind the Sky, who finished 9-1, eliminating us from the championship game. Despite all the moves that were made to the team, they still struggled during the month of July, starting off with 1 win out of 4 games. The one game they won, however, was beating the Las Vegas Aces on their home floor by scoring a franchise record 116 points and hitting 18 three-pointers. Sabrina won another Eastern Conference Player of the Week award during that time and was also nominated to participate in the Skills Challenge during All-Star Weekend. In the midst of an up and down season, the All-Star break was a much-needed boost for morale, as Sabrina won the WNBA Skills Challenge and, along with her teammate Natasha Howard, won the All-Star Game as part of Team Wilson. But returning to the regular season felt like a return to regularly scheduled programming. I attended 3 games post-All-Star break, with us getting destroyed by the Aces, but we picked up some close wins against the Chicago Sky, and we beat the Phoenix Mercury in a blowout. We finished the month going 3-7 with an overall record of 11-18. As had been the story of our season, we started off the new month hot with back-to-back wins against the Los Angeles Sparks, one being a 29-point win and the other being a 20-point comeback. Sabrina won another Eastern Conference Player of the Week award while also becoming the first WNBA player to amass 500 points, 200 rebounds, and 200 plus assists in a single season. Around this time, our all-star Benijah Laney was returning from her surgery to help with the push for the playoffs, With 5 games to go and the final 3 playoff seeds up for grabs, the Liberty went 3-2, including crucial back-to-back wins over the lurking Atlanta Dream to secure the 6th seed in the 2022 playoffs, with an overall record of 16-20. Sabrina won another Player of the Week award, making that 4th of the season, and also won the Eastern Conference Player of the Month award for August, averaging 19, 7, and 7 over that span, which made that her 2nd of the season. For our first round matchup, we faced the reigning championships Chicago Sky in a best-of-3 series, with games 1 and 2 in Chicago and game 3 in Brooklyn. In an outcome that no one saw coming, the Liberty stole game 1 in Chicago 98-91, closing the game on a 13-0 run. It was their first playoff win since the 2015 Eastern Conference Finals, and the 98 points they scored was a franchise high for the playoffs. Natasha and Sabrina led the way with 22 points apiece, and Benijah had 17, 5, and 5. Game 2, however, the Sky came to play and blew us out 100-62. They held us to 3 for 20 from shooting from 3-point range, which never is going to get you a win. That led to a decisive Game 3 in Brooklyn, which was a game that I had to attend and did attend. The atmosphere was electric to start. The crowd was going crazy because it was the Liberty's first playoff game at Barclays Center. Chicago came out the gate hot, and although we tried to make a run in the third quarter, it just wasn't enough. They ended the game on a 20-3 run and eliminated us from the playoffs, with a final score of 90-72. It was a disappointing way to end the season, but it showed how far we needed to go to become a championship team. To close out the season as a whole, Sabrina was voted to the 2022 All-WNBA second team. So that's a recap of the whole 2022 season. As you can see, there were a lot of ups and a lot of downs. We broke some records, we got some awards, but in the end, the main goal is to win a championship, which we failed to do. But 2023 is a different year and things are looking up. If you like this style of video and you want me to go back to past seasons and recap those as well, leave a comment down below. Otherwise, hit the like button, subscribe, share, and I'll catch y'all next one. Salute.